All right, everyone. Welcome to Growth Gen's Member Spotlight. So good to have you here. My name is Eyob Jesus, and I'm the founder of Growth Gen. So at Growth Gen, we know that you don't work to live. If you did, you wouldn't be running your own business. You also don't live to work either. You want more: family, friends, dreams, personal growth and adventure. You work and live. But the business owner's life as we know it doesn't fit into neat separate little boxes. Work and home, family and deadlines, everything is connected. Everything changes constantly. There is no magical work-life balance to achieve. Instead, you have to roll with the ebb and flow of the daily demands, keep your eyes on the long-term goals, and maybe even have some fun along the way. And we're here to talk all about it. And that's what Growth Gen is about. It's a small business community with a difference. And we are super excited to have one of our own members on this member spotlight. So let me introduce him. Today's guest is none other than the electrifying Nathan Cassar, Australia's premier master of ceremonies. With over 10 years in the entertainment industry, Nathan transforms weddings, corporate events, festivals, gala evenings, award nights, and everything in between into truly unforgettable experiences. His reputation for hosting outstanding events has earned him multiple accolades, including Most Entertaining MC in the Lux Life Global Excellence Awards, two-time winner, Best Wedding MC in Western Sydney. We love representing Western Sydney, so good. And number 2 National Overall Best Wedding MC in the Australian Wedding Awards. Nathan's infectious energy, charming smile, and professional attitude leaving lasting impressions on audiences worldwide. Join us as we delve into Nathan's award-winning career and uncover his secrets for creating thousands of memories that last a lifetime. Nathan, what a pleasure to have you here.
It is great to be here, and what an intro.
What an intro indeed. I love that because we, MC, razzle dazzle, that's what you're all about. So I love that intro, which is incredible. Nathan, so tell us a bit more about you and your business and how it all started.
Yeah, look, my business has a bit of a different genesis that people wouldn't perhaps anticipate. You know, most of the time when you hear professional MCs out there, usually their genesis stories are, and this is fine, like all respect all to my fellow compatriots out there in the industry, but most of them would say, like, you know, they maybe did a wedding, or they were the go-to guy in the corporate office, and all of a sudden someone said, hey, you know what, you can make some money out of this, and then it became a bit of a side hustle, and then they found themselves doing a few weddings and corporate events throughout the year. And some of them took it a bit more seriously, started a business, you know, got the name, got the website, everything else like that. It's all cool. But my story is a little bit more, I guess, Marvel-esque, so to speak, because it all begins back when I was 2007, when I was 14 years of age, very long time ago now. And I was on my very first cruise as a kid on the Pacific Sun, Australia's ship at the time, doesn't exist anymore. And essentially, I was just totally enamored by the cruise directors and the cruise director staff, the entire atmosphere of being this person on stage. It was so dynamic and electrifying, and to grab the crowd and have them in the palm of your hand and really make a difference, true difference to the way that you perceived your environment and the memories, and craft things just literally out of nothing. And so from that, I was a very shy, introverted kid at the time, but I was passionate about public speaking and debating and becoming more out of my shell and discovering who I was. And I knew deep down in my heart that there was a kernel of a desire and passion to be this enigmatic character, a performance master that I saw the cruise directors to be like. You know, fast forward many years on, after having a successful public speaking debating career in high school and university, I then became a junior assistant cruise director for Princess Cruises when I was 22 in 2015. And I then scaled up, worked my butt off, and became part of the corporate enterprise at Princess Cruises, working as a fleet supervisor of entertainment experience, training cruise directors and building some of the largest scale game shows that are still being re-rolled out post-COVID today. So I'm very proud of the legacy I've left behind at Princess Cruises.
Amazing.
Unfortunately, as we all know, COVID hit, and it was a bit of a pivot moment in my life, deciding whether or not to wait it out and return like many of my fellow crew members and colleagues did, or deciding to take a bit of an extra different step in my life as I now moved back from living in the States and permanently moved back to Australia beginning in 21. My brother's wedding was sort of the other catalyst. I did their wedding as the MC, sort of unofficially, officially being sort of a professional at the time, you know. And so at the very end of the night, after having countless people who I'd never met before, because my fly in, fly out for 7 years, telling me, oh, you've got to do this as a job. And I go, well, where do you think I've been? That's why I don't know. And now they're just like, no, but seriously, like, you know, get a business card, do it. And it's like, okay, fine. And so given the fact that I had suffered a lot of rejection, non-answering, non-reply to the local, you know, Australian market, I learned very quickly that foreign work experience means nothing or very little apart from, you know, my level anyway. I had to be like, you know, C-suite director to really make a difference. So I decided, okay, well, maybe starting a business is the way that I earn money, and I'm good at what I do. So off I go. And I did about, I think, just around 15 events, including 6 weddings and corporate events throughout 2021. And that included also that 6-month pause we had for the second lockdown.
I can say in between the pause as well. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot, but starting it out, it was an interesting time to start a business like mine that is an incredibly small niche in the market. But I was grateful to say that I scaled that to 86 events in 2022, including 50 weddings in total. So it was quite the exponential climb. And now this year, I'm in my phase of my business where I'm consolidating all of that rush and trying to basically just solidify myself as the standout go-to in the industry, both from the corporate side and public event side, and also the wedding industry as well.
That's a marvelous answer, Nathan.
I did preface it, so
yes, it's awesome. It really, really is such a great story. What a way to pivot. First off, you know, the mindset coming from that cruise industry, which is super exciting all the time. You know, I haven't been to a cruise, but from what I've
you haven't been on a cruise.
I know,
oh my God,
we're
gonna have a growth gen cruise.
Oh, that's a great idea. I love that.
We are definitely doing that. I am going to be your quote unquote cruise director. I'm going to get the whole gang together, help. I mean, I have actually the 2 cruises I went on after following when I was a 14-year-old were actually me saying, I've got to go back on the cruise, got to go back on the cruise. So I got one together for my friends when I was 20. And then 6 months prior, I actually then got my cousins and my brother to come with me on a cruise when I was 22. So that was all of that kind of like that. I've got to go back, got to see more, got to see more. So I'm going to do it again for Growth Gen this time, knowing everything that's going on.
I love hearing that. I can't wait for that cruise. But it's funny, I travel a lot. I do. I've traveled almost around the world, I would say, but haven't done a cruise. But I've heard some amazing things about it. And for you to pivot from such an exciting industry to, you know, to COVID and to think and to running your own business. I mean, business itself is a totally different story, as we all know. And and that's what we talk about at Growth Gen all the time, you know, having that life and business aspect to it. But in saying that, though, I must ask, do you miss the industry first before we?
It's a great question. And I get that question a lot because obviously it still has that enigma, right? I mean, cruising as an Australian worker, like it's not something that people usually do. So it is definitely sort of that one where people go, whoa, you left like a really, really cool sort of position. And I go, yeah, I mean, that's true. Look, I love my past with the cruise industry immensely. It taught me everything that I know, and it brought so many beautiful memories. It unlocked a part of me that I needed to unlock as part of my next journey in life, my next chapter. But will I go back? I will say that I would love to go back as a contractor, as I already have once in the past, last year in September on the Coral Princess. I would like to establish a more formal professional relationship in terms of setting like experiential design, going back to what I was doing with Princess as a game show designer, as a public event designer, as opposed to necessarily just going back as a full-time crew member. Not because it's beneath me or some weird thing like
Uh,
that, but just simply because I've already moved on in the sense of like my entertainment career and my onstage career is now bigger than what the cruise ships could offer me.
oh,
And
really? That's
so,
incredible.
well, in the sense that, you know, at some point you reach cruise director, and then, you know, the only other option above that is going to the entertainment director, where you manage the entertainment program, but you usually take a step away from the stage. And
Mm.
that is a higher paid position. So it's kind of like my passion for the stage is going to override any desire to necessarily be a head of department, even though I know I could do that job quite well and I would love to do it. So it's kind of like, you know, I'd rather just see what I can bring to the Australian event space, because I really feel as though that there's something a lot missing in the Australian event space in the moment that I can really bring, particularly because the cruise industry is such an enigma to most people still. And a lot of people think you can't translate things from the industry to land.
Yeah.
Incorrect. Absolutely incorrect.
Incorrect.
So I miss it, but I miss the friendships. I miss the parties, I guess, in some way. But I don't miss, like, you know, the opportunities. Every wedding and event that I do feels like a mini cruise anyway. So yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. And, you know, I am such a big advocate of trying to get some new things going on in Australia for events. So I love that you're thinking that way, that the fact that you've actually decided that you're going to stay to actually try and transform or change some of the landscape around the entertainment and the events industry. I feel like Melbourne does it really, really well.
Mm.
Sydney has a long way to go, and Perth and all the other states have pockets of great events. But Sydney, man, there's so much potential for
You know,
some great events.
you're
Yeah,
not wrong. You're absolutely right on the money. And I think what the problem right now is that the Sydney audience has had a lot of their opportunities basically just stripped from them. You go
yeah,
from the
yeah,
lockdown laws to the way that, you know, live entertainment venue spaces have crumbled away from the main CBD spaces.
yeah,
So what happened is that the money from private enterprise and government
yeah,
has kind of gone to either very safe enterprises, things that they
yeah.
know that have already been done a lot. So they know that it's just rinse, repeat, and you get the return on investment. Or, you know, otherwise, a lot of the more innovative, immersive, creative, fun stuff has kind of just gone because they, you know, as they say, you know, build it and they will come. Well, they haven't been building anything, so no
Uh,
one's been wanting to
haven't,
come.
because it's too expensive. I mean,
True,
you
true.
look at the expenses around that. I mean, I can speak from complete experience
Hmm.
around this, and it's incredible. When I was thinking about how we're going to be building our events in the future, we have to partner with a lot of people. We have
Yeah.
to partner with even down to the MCs,
Mm.
because the cost of running an event like this, one, is too risky, and then two, it needs support. It needs support. So
But
yeah,
there's another
yeah,
disease at the center of the heart of it. The
yeah,
problem is it's become very sort of ROI focused, where it
yes,
needs to become outcome focused.
yes,
Because, and I know that those sound similar to some degree, but what I mean by that is it's the takeaways that people need to be
yeah,
focusing more on. Because people say, well, why would I want to do this really cool, innovative experience that no one knows what the takeaways are? Well, first off, if you don't do it, then you just don't know.
yeah,
But secondly, if you're too afraid to do something that you got to pitch the event to people in a way to say, look, when you walk away from this, you will have your perspective of something would have been changed. You
mm,
would have felt emotions you normally wouldn't feel if you just stayed on the couch at home on a Sunday afternoon. You would have you're going to the time, so not the money, the time that you invest into this is
yeah,
going to be worth it. Because I think
yeah,
that
right.
Sydney siders have just been disappointed time and time again by the lack of quality that an event that they show up to, sometimes rallying the kids in the car, getting a babysitter or getting someone to sit the dog, I don't know, whatever. But the point is, like, they do all these things in order to move their life around. And of course, the limited funds that we have today in this current economy to then go to this. And then they just feel like, what was the point of that?
What
That
was the
was
point? Yeah,
just a waste of time. And so that
and
is, of course, what Melbourne and Adelaide in particular with their Fringe Festival, it looks fantastic
mm,
what they're doing in Northern
amazing.
Territory. Some of the light and sound festivals that are going up there, particularly the cultural elements with the Aboriginal communities, are
Indigenous.
just
Oh, so good.
unreal.
Yeah.
And yet here, safe.
Yeah.
safe, or
Yep.
millions of dollars poured into something that ends up you looking around going, where did the money go? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
where is it? I mean, it was there on a financial sheet, but where is the money? So yeah.
There's also a cultural challenge, I believe, in Sydney as well, Nathan. Like, there's fear, first off, from all that's happened in the past with Sydney, but
Mm,
also, this is how I describe it all the time. In New York, in London, in Melbourne, you can go into a pub and talk to anyone
mm.
without any preconceived notions of anything and just have a good chat, enjoy, and come out. Sydney, on the other hand, cannot do
Yeah,
that.
it's
You know what I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
It's such a and this is New. I mean, I've gone to New York and gone to an Irish pub. Somebody came right next to me, started chatting away, finding out about me, no problems at all.
Mm,
In Sydney, you won't find that.
yeah.
There's such a big one defense mechanism, I find. Do you know what I mean, for people? And then two, culturally, the blend is not there for some reason. There's something there. We haven't been connected
Mm,
as a community. So it really is a challenge, and it makes it more challenging for an event, because a big part of events is when you bring those attendees and they bring on that amazing attitude and wanting to celebrate around it. So there is definitely a couple of things there, and you and I can go on and on.
oh yeah, yeah. Put
Because
two
we
event
have
people in the same space and all of a sudden, yeah.
two people on the same space, and as much as I'd love to continue about this, but we're definitely going to have another debate around this, and I'll set up a time for that. So, look, what excites you about your industry? I know I would already know this, but I don't want you tell me.
I think that look, as you're right, I could go on for a while because obviously it does excite me quite a lot. I get to live a dream. I get to wake up doing what I love doing, which is thankfully, unfortunately not what a lot of people get to do in their lives. So I am grateful that my clients and my network and my community allows me to do that. So thank you to all of you out there who are listening, who have given me that opportunity. What most excites me is the fact that I get to be a part of facilitating people's memories. Because you think of it this way, right? From weddings to corporate events and everything else in between, you can take photos, you can post about things, you can all this kind of stuff to sort of memorialize an event. But at the end of the day, a video and a photo, or even of weddings, like you would consider like them to be like this pinnacle of this emotion attached to this sort of gallery of raw happiness, right? End of the day, 6 months, 12 months down the line, people have already, well before that even, people have moved on. And so, but what they don't move on from is their memories of something. And that is really the essence of why you do something in the first place. Yes, don't get me wrong. If you're making a public event, let's say it's a charity event. Of course, you want to make money out of it. You want to be able to donate to the charity. If you're doing an awards night, you want obviously the lead gen, and you want the prestige, and you want like the PR release and all the kind of stuff. And of course, you want all of that. But if people go away with bad memories about it, the ROI is going to naturally fall for the next year and the next year after, because the buy-in is going to be incredibly challenging. So for instance, if you have a look at like some of the big festivals that have like died in Australia, a lot of them have died or begun to recede. Yes, from financial negligence as well, but because obviously the lack of patronage, because people remember, oh, hang on, last year they had a lot of structural problems in terms of their ops, and there were, I don't know, there was a scandal where you couldn't get water for 2 hours or something like that, and all of a sudden people go, I'm going to think twice to spend 250, 300, 350 of my time to go to that next up. So part of what I do in my my niche, in my little corner of the entertainment world, is to make sure that the voice on the microphone, the things, the messaging, the way that it comes across into the brain and people, and the connections between people in the room and outside in the space, have a positive, if not, excited and engaged memory and association with that particular event. They're not going to remember every word that I said. Of course not. They're not going to remember, perhaps even most of them won't even remember my face. That's okay. As long as they knew that at the end of the day, they felt happy, they felt excited, they felt connected to the people around them, including those who they love and the people they've come with, and to the people, the regular stranger next to them. And they feel that they're inspired to want to talk about it and come back to the next time, to want next time. Whether or not, weddings obviously only happen once, hopefully. Or if they're big public events like festivals and all that, or the next corporate awards night or the Christmas party, you want your next one to be like, oh, well, this one was so good. Imagine what next year is going to be like. And it just continues to raise exponentially the memories associated with that. So that for me is the most exciting part, being that catalyst that ensures that people talk about things for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's exactly why we create events, so that we can create those memories, those experiences that people connect with other people in the room in the best light possible. That's what an event should do for you. And, an MC or a host like yourself, such a big part, even just from keeping patrons and attendees informed perspective. A well-informed MC, the one that delivers that, it makes a huge difference to the event. It's just incredible.
Unbelievable difference. Unbelievable difference.
Yeah, unbelievable difference. And so just even covering those basics and going to that entertainment and the pizzazz side it's huge. And we see it all the time with our clients, where they hire someone in their industry, and that person really can be a hit and miss, because they know about they would know really well about the topic, but then they wouldn't know how to present it in a way that is exciting. And then vice versa, the other way around, they might not know some of the topic really well. They think that they're delivering such a great impact, but there's so many details that they could have done better. So having a professional MC is just a huge part of what we do. So look, moving from the cruising industry, obviously you had to start your own business, and we know that business comes with its own challenges. So what are some of the challenges have you seen in the business so far? I mean, from so far from what you said, it's been going really well in general, but some of the things that you didn't expect, at least from business.
Yeah, it's funny, of course, I will always, when someone says, tell me about your business, of course, the first thing anybody does is talk about the success of their business. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm proud of the success that I've had. But when being both an event professional and also a member of the talent community, which includes, musicians and other people of that nature, what happens is that we also require volume in order to continue success. If we're not on the stage, we can have a business and I can have an email account, I can have a website, I can do a blog, I can do all this kind of stuff. But if I'm not specifically using my craft at some point, my talent to get on stage with a microphone and inspire those lasting memories I spoke about, and I do that not just once, but I do that multiple times throughout the year, I face an issue where it's easy to get relegated to, being irrelevant. And so it's important to gain that volume as much as possible in my business. And unfortunately, being such a niched environment that I'm in and community I'm in, it means that volume is tricky to get, even if I have a wide network like I do, because we're susceptible to financial changes. Every time the interest rates go up or they're mentioned being going up, my inquiries dip off a cliff. And it really, at the moment, at the time of filming, it really has, because people are very sensitive to that kind of situation. And that ties into the second challenge I've had, which people consider what I do to be either luxe, extra, or perhaps they didn't even know it was a job in the first place you could tap into. The amount of times I get asked people, so set the scene, both corporate and weddings. So okay, you're the MC. Okay, great. And then I finally get across the line that I'm professional. I'm not a friend of the family, or I'm not, one of the corporate, people in the community of the company. Like, oh, okay, so I've got a professional. That's amazing. Oh, wow. So what's your job? And they're not asking what my job is about what I'm going to do on the night as an MC. They're asking, so what actual job do you have outside of this? And I'm not disregarding the fact that the majority of my competitors do actually have other jobs that they rely on, because they sort of have more of a side hustle or a lesser volume than I do. And then that's okay. I respect all of that. And that applies for many people within the talent community, as I mentioned before. But the immediate assumption that this is just, it can't be a full-time job. There's no way you could do something like this full-time is incredible. 99% of the people I meet assume that I have another job. 99% of the people I meet assume that there's no way that I could possibly make this a full-time career. And it's like, oh, okay, well, allow me to prove to you why this is a full-time job. And like, I don't get offended by it, but that is a massive challenge, because being told, oh, your job exists, even though it's one of the oldest crafts ever, like one of the oldest professions. And yet for some reason still today, like, you know, no one would question a photo booth operator or a DJ or a photographer or a florist or a stylist or anything else in between. But they will go,
Sorry,
oh,
Nate.
you're a job. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, look, Nate, I wanted to quickly, sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to quickly, I saw a Facebook post just the other week.
Yeah.
A DJ friend of mine that put up, and he said something on the lines of someone, a friend of his, an old friend of his, came up to him and said, oh, so how are things going? What are you doing these days? And he says, oh, I'm still DJing. And he says, oh, you're still DJing? That's incredible. You really love DJing. And now, so imagine, he's known this guy for almost 30 years. That's what he said. So he's known this guy for 30 years. He still thinks that he has a regular job instead of being a DJ. And you know, he posted up saying, we do this stuff because we actually love it, and not just because because I'm just a DJ. Do you know what I mean? There's a craft, there's a momentum, there's all kinds of stuff that comes to becoming a DJ. So he wanted to elaborate that to everyone, and I thought it was a brilliant post, because people needed to hear something like that.
I agree, and it's a fight that I fight a lot in terms of trying to get that message out there, and I don't think I'll be stopping that fight anytime soon. It's definitely, I mean, I'm having conversations all the way from the biggest wedding directories in the country, all the way to my partner networks, to, you know, obviously couples and guests at weddings and stuff, and clients and audience members at conferences and so forth, who, you know, are seeing me do the job that I do in the function that they see me do it at, and they appreciate it, they love it, have a good time, you know. But yet for some reason it's like, oh no, well, you know, this is just something that it's just a cute little hobby. And it's like, well, how, first off, how do you think I could be as good as I do with it being just a hobby? People don't just wake up like this. I trained for years to get like this. But secondly, it's like, what's crazy is that people don't think it could be enterprised into a business. Look, let's be honest, you know businesses more than I do. You can make a business out of anything as long as you're good at operating business. If you were dead set passionate about making candles out of human earwax, and you found a market for it, and you did it right, you did all the social media correct, registered it with you know, with ASIC and all this kind of stuff, power to you. It's weird, but like, power to you, you go for it. So it's just such a fallacy that talent industry people like myself are unable to make full-time jobs out of this. And more importantly, you want to partner with people who do it full-time, because we're the ones who do it so often that you can trust that we're putting a lot of we don't have a fallback. This is it. This is what we do. So
I think also the perception comes from the creativity aspect as well, because, you know, creatives, do they really make money from that perspective? And we know there is a history of that to a certain extent, where, you know, the creatives, some creatives are super creative, and managing money is really not their thing. And that's not an issue at all. But there are people out there that have both sides, that know how to manage it. And you're one of them, you know, so you understand the business side, and you also understand for the short amount of period that you're here. But the best part is you joined Growth Gen. So that's just
it's been fantastic joining Growth Gen. I've really enjoyed my experience, because, you know, Look, I've been in the corporate world, and it's funny, even just briefly touching on what we were just talking about then, I used to, when I came home, like I used to have family and friends still say, oh, so you're still on the ships. Like, when are you going to come back and get a job? And I'm like, I work for the fourth largest cruise line in their corporate office, working remotely for 150 employees across the entire, 17 ships in the fleet.
They're
What
massive businesses, massive.
like what in any way, shape, and form. But you're right, that sort of creativity thing ends up sort of muddying the waters for a lot of people's perceptions. But what I'm trying to do in Growth Gen is two things. Obviously, help grow my business. I mean, it's in your title. You can't spell Growth Gen without grow. But obviously to connect with people who are like-minded. And I've found a lot of people within your network in Growth Gen who are incredibly talented at what they do, but also, really do want to participate in a lively, thriving community to help each other. But the second thing also is to create some level of legitimacy to what I do, because I'm fairly certain that newcomers to Growth Gen are going to be surprised to begin with, just like any other wedding couple, client, guest at a corporate event, are going to be surprised that there is a professional MC in their ranks.
That wouldn't surprise me.
No, and I'm okay to take that, but I know that there's a perception out there. I'm also younger than perhaps the average age of a executive corporate high flyer, more established business owner, etc. And I don't use that as a crutch. It's just a fact. And so I know that it can come as a bit of a surprise to people, but it creates legitimacy in my mind, because what it shows people is that successful businesses can come out of creative enterprises. And it's amazing how much creative enterprises often get leveraged when you need us. So all of a sudden you need a TV commercial produced. Oh, you need an actor. All of a sudden you need, voiceover work done. You get someone like myself or professional voiceover artists, or you have an event and you want it to be memorable and you get me. So it's amazing that all of a sudden, oh, we need these people. And you need us to continue to be successful in our businesses, because otherwise we're not going to be available anymore. And guess who's going to have to MC that wedding, that corporate event? And it's going to be you, and you're not going to enjoy it because you're not good at public speaking. So it is two-pronged for me, to create legitimacy, but also, primarily, to meet the wonderful people. And I've had great experiences at your networking events. We've had a lot of beautiful insights in both our online and in-person events, where, I've learned lots of great things from the marketing side so far, lots of great insights from our GG boards, where I've met lots of wonderful people in those monthly groups, where they've given some really, really great actionable advice that have really helped me to propel my business in a way that's outside of my normal orbit. You spend 30 days before we get to our, 28, 38 days before our GG boards, sort of in your own mindset, right? And then we get to these ones and we get to dump it all to people in a safe, confidential space, and everyone's there to ideate it out. And everyone always has a constructive opinion. And that's, I think, is really unique compared to other business networking groups that I've been a part of. So kudos to you, of course, for putting together and curating. You're sort of like the art director, curating this bunch of people who fit the bill. But no, I love it. And you've done a great job. And I'm very proud to be a part of GG. So
thank you, Nathan. We were so proud to have you as a member. We've just seen your business grow and grow, and more importantly, you have grown as a person as well, which is so exciting. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next 2 years, which brings me to my point of what are you going to be focusing on in the next 2 years?
Great question. Yeah, the next 2 years are really interesting for me, because I touched on this before in terms of the economic element is the thing that obviously is looming over everyone's minds right now. And the biggest thing amongst both the talent side and the professional speakers and a whole bunch of other people that sort of fit within under our umbrella, we're all going, okay, we all know that we're definitely getting that we're put on the chopping block well before anybody else is. So what do we do in order to weather this storm that is coming for us? Just after we survived one storm, which was COVID. And then what is it going to be like when we get out of that? How can we best position ourselves? So a lot of what I've been doing lately is consolidating my reputation, my network, my social media, and my online digital presence. So essentially be ready for when the storm subsides and the flood comes back in my way again, when the economics go in my favor, by being the shiniest toy in the toy store for the people looking for what I offer.
Yeah.
But also I've got a few enterprises that I'm wanting to enhance my services with for weddings and corporate events. Some are secret, some not so much. I'm trying to keep a couple of things proprietary, but I can tell you that there are a couple of ideas that, for instance, one thing I can tell you that's it's not proprietary. It's more or less just following a trend that I know I'm good at. I'm planning on opening up my wedding package to also in corporate package as well, to open up to champagne towers as they're coming back in fashion. Really
Nice. Nice.
easy to do. I used to do them every
Yeah.
single cruise,
Yep.
and they're a really great way to elevate a level of class. And it's it's a great feature piece. It's a good talking piece, and it suits corporate events and weddings just equally.
Absolutely.
Then there's a couple of marketing techniques that I'm trying to keep a bit more proprietary. I'm going to be getting some things coded up that will hope to be great lead gen, particularly for weddings. But they will have an event planner, more broader stroke application as well that I'll be looking into, trying to leverage the best out of the technology that I'll be commissioning. So those are coming, and one really, really, really exciting secret project that is more or less an idea that I've got a level of plan to at the moment. It has to be fabricated. It has to be actually made physical. But watch this space. It's going to be a very, very exciting enterprise that will again enhance my packet, my service offerings, but also will be a completely unique entry to a market that is just coming in. Excuse me, just coming in compared to some of the other trends that are happening in events. So I'll be sure to let you all know, but it's some exciting times ahead, and
Yeah,
just
very.
wanting to, and then after that,
Yeah.
looking forward to whatever the tsunami of inquiries come after that from all my hard work. So
Can't wait to see it all come in. The best part and the biggest message out of this is that you're taking control of your destiny, one, and then two, more importantly, you are risk managing your business like any business should. So a lot of small business owners, we've got our blinders on. We're too focused on what the job has to be done today. And yes, there's a lot of jobs that has to be done today. However, what else are you going to do on top of that to at least mitigate risk or create a new service that will help you diversify a little bit? So just adding those touches straight away makes a huge difference. And the Champagne Tower is probably nothing, no one can ever top that. So what an exciting idea. I love
it's really cool. I can't wait. Like it's one thing really cool about it too, actually, is there's one thing I want to get into. There's a really cool way you can even augment it. It would have to be done for outside experiences. So definitely not an indoor thing. You can do the Champagne Tower outdoor, indoor if the venue allows it. But there's something really, 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 really cool that not a lot of operators are doing. It's a technique called savoring a champagne bottle. I don't know if you're familiar with this. So essentially what you do is it's a very old style technique. You open the cage off the champagne bottle very carefully. You also then get a very special blade that looks like a short saber. And the technique is you got to ride it up this is weird because because it mirrors me, so it's weird. You've got to saber right across the neck of the bottle, and as you do it, it actually cleanly explodes off the top. So there's no shatter, there's no glass, science, right? And so it just becomes this really, really, really cool sort of way of opening the champagne bottle. It's a very old style way of doing it, but it just adds that extraordinary distinction of class to be able to say that you can do it. So corporate events obviously going to love it. Looking forward to the weddings as well. And it doesn't have to be expensive either. So it's just, I'm really in the business of augmenting my service offerings because I'm there at the event. So use me. I would love to be incorporated as much as possible to create those lasting memories. So that's what it's all about.
Oh, fantastic, Nathan. Such a great conversation. Can't wait to continue this. So, at Growth Gen, we talk about business and life. So I want to delve in a little bit about your life. I mean, you've pretty much summed up that the emceeing world is your life, which I love. But
I promise I'm more exciting than
that. No, but it is. It's excellent to see you so passionate about, to see someone so passionate about their expertise. So I really appreciate you sharing that. But just wanted to know, what are some things that you do to take some time off and to recalibrate and re-energize them back into work?
Yeah, something I don't often do, but I love to play paintball. I haven't done it in a while because it's expensive, but got my own paintball gun registered to me. I've got my own equipment. My first ever job was a paintball referee back many years ago. So I was actually a paintball referee for 5 years. It was the longest job I held until I started working with the cruise industry. I don't do it often, but I do love to do it, and definitely great way to blow off steam.
Yeah.
I also am a classically trained pianist, so I enjoy just being able to practice piano and stuff like that. So which is quite nice just to go back to roots, and it is quite a calming experience for me. I'm an avid gamer, so I do enjoy video games and Netflix and everything else like that. I do take the pops, I should do it more, but I do like to enjoy, obviously, catching up with old friends and stuff. I don't like to have like a massive network of friends, not because I'm antisocial, but because I like more quality experiences with people in my life. So I'm pretty choosy when I want to spend time with people, but no, the ones that I do, I really give my all. I don't like to be distracted in those moments. So I do like to catch up with friends and family. And I'm trying to get back onto the sort of the outdoor exercise world at the moment, trying to get back that as a thing in my life, because I know that it's great to get away from the computer, away from the office space. I mean, this is my work from home office full time, so it can be hard sometimes to switch off, just go around the corner, go to my living room, and I get an email or a text from someone say, hey, can you fix up this run sheet or something for a bride or something? And I'm like, oh, okay, I better go back in. And I know I do it because that's sort of that drone mindset that I've said, I've got to do it, got to do it. But it's, maybe will that continue? Probably. But if I know I have a lot more outlets to sort of step me away and be like, oh, well, I'm in the middle of the national park. Like there's definitely no way I can respond to that right now. Just going to leave it. And if someone says, why didn't you get back to me? Well, this is where I was. So yeah. So I try to keep it balanced as best I can, but I do I do get a lot of secondhand passive experience from the weddings and corporate events that I do as well, because it's a very social experience for me.
That's amazing. Oh, I love the paintball. That was a good surprise, which
Always is. Always
right.
does surprise people. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so, give us one thing that's on your bucket list.
Ooh, yeah. I
One.
would love to return back to my ancestral home of Malta, little island in the Mediterranean. I did a 10-hour, one-day trip there on the Sky Princess when I was in the inaugural trip for it back in 2019. Absolutely loved it. It was by far one of the most incredible sort of experience. I got to see a lot of different things that my father on my father's side, the Maltese side, had experienced as a kid. He was his first generation here, but he went back as a small kid a few times, and I was able to see when my grandparents got married. I was able to eat authentic Maltese food. I was able to and I love the historical aspect of these kinds of countries. So there's a lot to explore there. So I would definitely love to be able to switch off eventually and be able to go do that.
Yeah.
Another thing I would genuinely like to do, and I guess this ties in a little bit with a work goal as well, but it would sort of be something I'd like to do as a bucket listing too. I would love to book my very first destination wedding. Because for me, that is just such the height of respect when it comes to the couple saying, we will do anything it takes to bring you to our wedding, to obviously know that you'll do whatever it takes to make sure our night is perfect. And I think that is just such a beautiful story that I really look forward to the moment when it happens. I mean, I travel quite a lot and I'm always open to it. I mean, literally send me an email, say, I love your work, let's do it. I'll fly anywhere. Great. I'll be on the first, if I'm available, I'll book my flight tonight. So that for me, I don't care where it is. I just want a destination wedding. So, and I'd like to do a lot of them. So definitely that is sort of like a secondary sort of like work bucket list, so to speak.
Yeah, love it. Love it. I think you can partner with hotels for that too. That would be amazing.
Yeah. I that's kind of goes into this whole what's the next 2 years look like, right? It's about continue to consolidate and expand the network. Now that I'm grateful to have a reputation and a bio and actual a portfolio to put out there. It's funny when you first start a business, right? Particularly if you're someone like myself who've come from it, like I'm sure you experienced the same thing, right? Because you had you still got it today, your corporate business and events, and now you're then trying to translate as a business owner to something else, to pivot to something new as a new brand, and going, hey guys, like I know we're new, like I know our website's new, and I know Google says we've got no reviews, but like I promise, like I've done a lot of work, and here's what I'm capable of, and here's a couple of photos, and like I promise I'll get better. But I'm really good for it. Like it's such an awkward part of the business starting journey. And I respect any startup person, like is where I was, where you were when you first started everything you did, because it is just the most awkward time trying to convince people that you're worth it when you know damn this in your heart that you are, but you just don't have the videos and photos and social media proof to prove it.
Love
It
it.
is so tough. So it's important, I think, for people to always look back and reflect on that journey process, because it is truly a wow. It's one of those things that it really puts everything into perspective. When I get like calendar disease, I guess I call it, calendar fear, when I look at things and I go, oh geez, it's a bit thin. But I remember that like this time 2 years ago, a year ago, like relatively speaking, like I was a nobody and I had so little like bookings and all this kind of stuff. So I look at the chart and all of it and I go, oh, okay, no, I'm going to be fine. Like it's going this way. So I'm good.
Well, Nathan, I'll tell you this, you're definitely a somebody and not a nobody for sure.
Thanks.
And I will say that it is a pleasure talking to you. What a great
Thank you. Likewise.
and I can't wait to see where you're heading from here. Malta, I've heard, is a beautiful island, and it's a must-see place apparently. So can't wait to hear that story as well. So Nathan, thank you so much for joining us today on our member spotlight. Where can everyone find you first off before we
Oh, wow. I mean, if you just type my name in, I thankfully my hard work online lights me up like a Christmas tree, but you can find me at Nathan Cassar, CASSAR.com.au. I'm available on all social media platforms apart from TikTok because I just can't. But on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I've also just recently beginning a Pinterest page, so I'm going to be putting up all my galleries there as well. So keep in tune for that. All my links to those will be available on my website as well, so you can't miss it. Give me a like, give me a follow. Would love to catch up if you have any thoughts, ideas. I'm always the kind of guy that isn't just there to turn up on the microphone. I would love to also help plan your event as well. I've got a very wide network, just I'm sure you do as well, Yob. And so I would love to be able to ideate some great ideas about how to take your event from ordinary to extraordinary, not just because I'll be there emceeing, but because it takes an army to put together an event. So yeah, absolutely. Would love to connect with you all.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you, Nathan. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.